Hello and welcome to another episode of the Frankly podcast. This is your bonus episode, so tools for your leadership toolkit. And I am absolutely thrilled today to have with me the fabulous Ali Carruthers-Illingworth. Ali, thank you so much for giving up your time and coming to join us to talk about your mastermind topic.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's nice to be invited.
Oh,
How strange to be sat on a podcast with you when normally
I
it's over a
know.
cup of yeah,
A different kind of conversation for us today.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, for people out there listening or watching, if it's possible for anyone not to know the lovely Ali, because you are so very well connected, Ali is founder and MD of not just one business, but two businesses. And we're going to talk about both of them because they intersect. And I'm really excited to get into that. So, Ali is founder and MD of Pebble People, a leader development and organisational development consultancy, and also, more recently, Kindness and Co., which we will dive into later. Ali's aim is to create a world of relationship focused and enlightened people who want to make a positive difference in the world. And that is where your positive ripple effects come from, isn't it?
True. That's people will ask me what Pebble People stands for, and it all started with the pebble. So
Oh,
that's where it started. Very much about that kind of creating positive ripples in the world through gaining our self-awareness, and it came from when people used to attend the leadership programs that I used to run and still do. We would offer a moment to go and find a pebble that would be a totem or an anchor into that process that would remind you of the journey you'd been on. And it just felt really important to have that pebble in there. Yeah, for me
mm,
anyway. So that's where it all started, with the
so
pebble.
important. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's a really important point. And I don't know about you, but one of the most magical things for me in leadership development, whether it's coaching, group coaching, programs, is when people come along and they have the kind of expectation that they're going to learn some tools and some processes and maybe a bit of self-awareness. And then over time they start to go, oh, it's actually having an impact on my relationship with my wife, or my children have started to go, Daddy, you're turning up, you're being a bit different and we like it, it's better. And they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
it to have these ripple effects in other places of my life.
Yeah. You can't do the work on yourself and be like mutually exclusive in my this is my work mode. And when you do the work, you learn so much more. And isn't it all about relationships?
Hmm.
So how can you distinguish between a relationship with your family system and your relationship with your professional system? Like, you
Yeah.
are you, and different parts of you
Yeah.
may show up in those systems, but still you're doing the work, aren't you? I got asked, when was the last time you stepped out of your comfort zone? And I ensure that I try and do that, like doing something like this with you, just like making sure that I'm kind of saying, yeah, I do step outside of my comfort zone as well. And um, able to kind of be in that process with those people too. This is how it felt for me now at this age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I was just about to say that before, that, you're right. Like, you can't do this, you can't work in this profession without being a bit of a learning junkie. And once you start to learn and you see the benefits, it just becomes something that you never give up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much interesting stuff, isn't there, that's still out there, and how much of it might even be from years and decades ago, but still got some relevance. Like, what does that look like now? And we go
Mhm.
back and have a look at old models, old philosophies, old way, and then, right, okay, how's that relevant now? And, overlay all of the kind of progression that's gone through in our short time of being the professionals that we are. Yeah. Yeah. I say short, it's like half my life now.
So, for people that don't know you, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do and what you love about it?
Yeah, certainly. So, Purple Pebble People, we are a people development specialist. We work with individuals and organisations who really want to focus on how they're being and not just what they're doing. So, getting a real sense of, how am I having impact with what I do? How am I regulating myself, resourcing myself? So we go into organisations and we'll run leadership programs, culture programs. We help people think about the purpose of the business from that perspective, linking it to people. And we do coaching and team coaching as well in that space. And actually, we celebrated 14 years just recently, and you're really proud of that. But having spent 28 years in this profession as well, bring this kind of raft of, I've been in your shoes, I've worked in organisations, and now run a business. So it's nice to sort of bring that expertise alongside the qualifications into, the work that we do. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And we're going to dive into your mastermind topic in a little while. One of the things I think is interesting for people is like we get to work with a broad variety of clients in different sectors, and we get to hear what are the things that are keeping them awake and challenging them. So what are you hearing is the biggest challenge in your network at the moment in terms of leaders being prepared for the future that's coming?
One of the things is down to resilience and how to maintain well-being and avoid burnout. That's definitely present at the moment. How the different generations can work together, how we start bringing in the other generations, where it's such a pivotal point in time where there is such a mixture of the moments we were born and how they're all in one big melting pot at the moment
Mm,
in industry. So how do I, as a mature woman, work with a new graduate and their expectations of the world? That's
mhm,
definitely there as well. There's the geopolitical background of, you know, our friends in America and across the globe, and the impact that they're having on businesses and that further stretch. That includes things like, how are we being sustainable? How are we thinking that way in our leadership? All of these things that they keep people up at night. How will my business still be here in a few years' time if I don't keep an eye on the impacts of the geopolitical climate as well? Yeah,
yeah.
definitely hearing those things in amongst it. But my first point there at the moment is very much about, how am I maintaining myself as a leader in this business and being the best that I can be when I'm working maybe long hours, having to think differently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's intense, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's intense working conditions at the moment.
Yeah. People working long hours, right?
Mm,
Feels like a lot of that's going on. Like, just if I work a bit longer, maybe it'll ease.
mm,
And I'm interested in, you know, what's the biggest fear for those people if they're trying to deliver on behalf of a CEO, for example, or maybe even the CEO themselves, stakeholders, and so on. Like, you know, what's the biggest fear, and how can we kind of release the pressure valve in people's minds so that they're thinking a little bit clearer and more, feeling maybe a little bit more resourced.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
to be effective. Yeah.
And that's a brilliant segue into the next question. How can we give leaders tools to put in their toolkit to help them resource themselves? So this is your hot topic. So what is the resource that you think leaders need to have in their toolkit that will resource them well?
A lot of workplaces where they're brilliant, but it still feels tense. And where I notice where it feels less tense is in workplaces where kindness is really part of the culture, and where it's not just a nice to do, but a kind of a need to do. It's in there. Yeah. And so for me, the topic that I wanted to bring to our bonus edition for you today was the topic of, how do we incorporate kindness into our leadership?
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about this because I think it, like as a word, it can bring up so much for people, can't it? The word kindness. It's like when people say we need more love in the office. I think some people go, ooh, like it's in the kind of like softer skills phase. And I wanted to just ex explore it, but from the opposite. So like, what do you see? what is it that you see in organisations that are not focusing on kindness that actually, is a challenge for them?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's like the tenseness, so highly competitive, for example, and competition doesn't instinctively breed kindness, right? So that kind of high competition, if you win, I lose, if I win, you lose, kind of environment, where actually there's a lot of ego present. And what I mean by that is where actually I've been granted the position of leader and it becomes my show, my way. And actually for me, that isn't, when you get given a position of leadership, it doesn't mean that you have to make the world a blueprint of you. It's totally, for me, it's different. So in the organizations where there isn't kindness, I see a lot of that blueprint of me. If you're not doing it like me, if you're not following my rules, if you're not using my language, then you're ostracized, or you're not in the clan, you're not included. See it as I can go into organizations and it's there immediately, even in the way that you're treated on the arrival at reception. Yeah, yeah.
And then, like, the flip side of that, then, so for organisations that are putting kindness as a value and they're putting it in their purpose, or their mission, what do you see as the ripple, to use the ripple effect? Like, what is the ripple effect in those organisations? What are the benefits of doing that?
Yeah, huge benefits. When people put kindness in, you've got to get under the definition of what you think people mean by that word kindness. And you said it earlier, is it's not soft, it's not kind of impractical, it's not passive. It's, for me, kindness is empathy, respect, trust. It's being able to lean into a challenging conversation, but being a win-win. So you sort of use the language from what I was saying earlier. It's that kind of, it's got so much more kind of tangibleness to it than you can kind of imagine. The benefits are that people feel motivated, that they get into their creativity, they get a sense of purpose, they feel seen, therefore they bring new ideas to the table. They're willing to kind of make mistakes, and we know that from that becomes innovation. If I can make a mistake and yet I'm going to be challenged with kindness around it, I'm so much more comfortable to keep trying, right?
Mm.
And we know that it also benefits people, like the people who are giving the kindness receive the benefits from the kindness. And there's a lot of research that's out there. I really love Dr. David Hamilton's work around kindness. Go check him out. And he's an inspiration for me, for sure, in this sort of language. As is Mary Portas as well. We love her, don't we? You talk about Mary. You know, she's also an inspiration in this space of understanding that kindness isn't weakness, that kindness is challenge, that kindness is can be really uplifting, and we receive that beautiful oxytocin, dopamine hits, because then don't you want to walk into a place where you can feel respect, you can feel that the challenge there is done in kindness, and yet there's smiles on people's faces. They're happy to be at
Mm.
work.
Mm.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm seeing, just to echo, I guess, what you've just said, is that when there's a lot of pressure and stress around, people, leaders in particular, leadership communities tend to veer more towards being in, oh my God, I need to get this under control. So they take the reins more and they take responsibility and they kind of pull away from their people. And absolutely, you can get shit done by doing that, but it creates an impact. And for me, what I see when leaders learn, even when it's stressful and difficult and challenging, to find a way of leading with kindness, compassion, empathy, inclusion, collaboration, that actually they get done what they need to get done, but usually they get it done in a better way, and they end up outperforming what they would have done had they taken more control in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, I agree more. I've seen that too, and I've felt it too. Like having had an experience of it working in an organisation, I've felt both sides,
Mm.
and I've felt how it feels to work under a kind leader. And of course, I would share that story, and oh my God, remember, this environment. And imagine the language you use where I've worked under a non-kind leader, and yet we've achieved, right? So we've achieved under kindness. Um, and I just think that there is just something about, someone said something really interesting to me earlier today, and because I'm just doing some work, and that what they said was kindness should be our first mile, not the extra mile.
Mm.
And there was something that really, I kind of went, oh, it really caught me, did that. Like kindness should be
Mm.
our first mile, not the extra mile.
I love that.
So yeah, and so I'll bring that to this space. Kindness can be the first step into trust.
Mm.
When you ask about somebody, when you really check in, do they feel confident to do what you're asking? Do they have any hesitations? Do they need resourcing? Like what's going on for them? That drop into the metaphorical ocean of that person means that they feel seen, they feel heard, and therefore they trust you as a leader. You know, sort of just standing up and going, right, I've got the plan, trust me with it. It doesn't kind of work as much as I've actually leaned into you, I've heard you, I've given some thought to how I can get the best out of you, and guess what? We're on this journey together.
Mm.
Yeah. And you know
Brilliant.
what just came to mind as well? In those cultures, they really know how to celebrate the small wins.
Mhm.
Yeah, they don't just put on Pizza Friday because it's a really nice thing for their Instagram account, or it ticks some kind of a box somewhere. Oh, this year we've done this. It's like those moments of small wins come, and they're almost sometimes like even hidden because they're a whisper in the organisation of thank you, I appreciate you. That was brilliant. You got that. You got over that moment of insecurity, and look what you've produced. And
Mm.
there's so much value in that.
So if there's a leader out there listening going, oh, we really need a bit more kindness in our space, and how lovely it would be to do that, what would you recommend is a good first step, so that they can take a step to better?
Well, I would kind of work with the end in mind, and I would say, what's not present now that needs to be present in the future, and how does kindness contribute to that? So it might be that you've had some employee engagement results where maybe happiness at work isn't there. So it would be kind of working that, like, what does it look like? Because each organization has to explore what kindness can look like for them.
Mm.
But of course, that starts with me and my view of kindness. And like I said earlier, it's not about, does that mean I have to become all soft? It can be, how do I support my team? How am I collaborating with them? What do they believe of themselves, and how can I support that? Um, so it starts with curiosity, I think, is what I'm
Mm.
saying in summary. What does
Yeah.
kindness look like for us?
Yeah.
And I really like to explore that topic. I've asked some people, what would it mean to you to be called a kind leader? Is that how you would like to be known? And you can definitely see some people go, oh, not quite sure. Does that mean I'll be taken advantage of? Does that mean that I'm somehow not as competent? And
Mm.
kindness is about competence. It's nothing to do with that. Kindness is the complement to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it was making me think, I can't think of how many times I've done my talk on vision and resilient workplace cultures where I go, the first mistake organizations make is that they go away and do their values work, which is like a few people in a room come up with some clever words and they go, yes, that's the kind of culture that we need. And they go out and spend hundreds of pounds on stickers and posters and put them up around the office. But everyone has a completely different view about what those words mean to them. Those organisations that are taking a really deeper, more patient, slower paced inquiry with these really important parts of the process that set your business up for success and are doing the kind of like, okay, you know, what would kindness look like in our organization? What would radical kindness look like? What would benevolent kindness? What would challenging
Yeah.
kindness? It's a delicious space for me because it's about language.
I
Um,
and and I like the idea of kindness activism.
mm,
And I know Mary would support that kind of, I don't think she uses that language necessarily, but actually, how does what we do as an organisation somehow give back, not just to the people who work in it, but to the broader sense of the planet and the humans that exist on that space? How are we, does what we do take away or give? And I think those are really bigger questions that link to kindness in that
mm,
space.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So one business wasn't enough for you. And kindness has become such a personal and professional mission for you. Like you've seen it over and over again with the clients that you work with, that when they find ways of integrating kindness, whether it's a value, whether it's within a process, whether it's in a way of working, whether it's in leadership, what you've seen it over and over again, the positive impact, the positive ripples are profound. So you've gone and set up a second business called Kindness and Co. Tell us about that.
Kindness and Co as an idea came to me probably 6 or 7 years ago, where I was kind of calculating how many ripple effects we were actually getting a chance to make. And what I mean is direct, like face to face with those people, because the ripple effect for us goes beyond, it goes to the families, it goes to the team members, it goes to the people you walk past in the street. And it just started, I was just like, oh my God, this world, like the answer for me has always been like kindness is like the answer. Somehow we will just kind of, it'll make the world kind of simmer a little bit. There's a lot of kind of fiery energy around, and it was just, fast forward, I eventually kind of got the idea nailed down. And the idea here is that we find more ways to create kindness ripple effects into the world. And so it's worked itself into being a clothing brand that is called Kindness and Co. It's almost like you're wearing your values on your sleeve, quite literally. Please
Literally.
keep that
Mhm.
literally.
Mhm.
Ambition of actually uncovering people who want to do acts of kindness in a really activist, rebellious way. In fact, we talk about being rebelliously kind. So it's less about the clothing. That's just where we start. It's more about where the clothing takes us.
Mhm.
So our clothing is sourced in the UK. It's produced in the UK, where most possible, it is organic, planet friendly, wherever we can seek that out. So we've had to really hunt hard at finding the right partners in that space. So you're buying something that already gives back, it's sustainable wherever it can be. But then as you come to check out, you are invited to donate part of the profit from that item to one of 3 charities. So then they start receiving, and they get the hit from that. Then of course you receive the item in the post, and we've got it in sustainable packaging, reusable packaging, so it feels nice to receive it. So there's another dopamine hit, another feeling of kindness. Oh, that packaging's sustainable too. And then you put it on and it feels great. and really nice products. So you kind of go, oh, this feels great. So you want to wear it. It's long lasting. It's not fast fashion. It's there to be sustained. But then you are part of the Kindness and Co community, and then you will be invited to different events that are about kindness. So the ripple effect of that one click keeps on going, and you end up joining this kindness community by wearing this clothing with the ambition of you'll see somebody on the street wearing the same clothing and it's like, I know you're one of my little kindness buddies, and so on. And it's just finding that way. And we're trying to work with independents, we're trying to find businesses to support us so that they also get the benefit from providing us with the product. And we've launched this year. I say launched, we've gone live. We're going to do a proper launch with all our charities at the start of next year. And we're just going to see where it goes, but it feels good. It feels like it has a real, like, I keep using this word, like kindness activism about it. I'm not just wearing something that says be kind. I'm actually choosing to be kind. And that will draw me towards people who also feel that way. Yeah, and so then you're the co. Like everyone involved becomes the co in Kindness and Co. Yeah.
So really, it's a movement, but to me, it's like you're actually creating a movement. The product is a bit of a front for what you're really doing, which is creating another ripple effect in the world, which is another positive ripple effect about building a tribe specifically motivated to put more kindness back into the world. And product is the kind of lever for how you get this tribe up and running and spread the good word. Yeah,
It is a
I love it.
movement. You're absolutely right. At the heart of what we're doing is we are trying to be really kind of mindful and strategic about creating a kindness movement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's brilliant. And what's the website for
Thank
people
you.
listening? What's the website?
Yeah, it's Kindness and Co. And it's kindness with the word and co.co.uk. And that will take you to the shop. And on the shop, you will find pages that link to our charities and share beautiful stories of what those charities are doing and how they're using the money that you can contribute to doing better things in the world. And we really went for, I chose what I describe as like human, so mental health, isolation in the elderly, and homelessness. Like, so I kind of started the first three to be involved at charities that, for me, connect to where kindness can go.
And very much where it's needed at the minute.
Yeah, it's one of those things that gets me really hot and bothered that there are lonely people who live amongst us. My uncle, who I know you had the pleasure of meeting, but his end of life was caused by his loneliness. For somebody who, was a character, he had such a rich life, he was surrounded by people most of his life, that when he got old, he got forgotten about and got lonely, and that feels really harsh. That charity is re-engage and they create a buddying service. I mean, I don't think I've shared this with you, but they have over 9,000 volunteers in that
Wow.
space. But in order to really meet the demand, they need an extra 200 or 230 people a month signing up to be a
Wow.
buddy with somebody else. Doesn't that just speak volumes? Like,
Yeah.
they have to get that amount of people up and running to volunteer each month.
Yeah.
And then they're lonely by no fault of their own, a lot of them. They maybe just live too far away from their children, their family, their partners have died. Maybe they haven't got a family, maybe they don't have brothers and sisters anymore. They just don't have that kind of infrastructure around them. And for some of them, they might only utter, 50 words to somebody a month. Just think about that. If I gave you 50 words and that's all you say a month, it's hard, isn't it? And you can see I don't want to go down that route of that, but we can be kind in that space, can't we? We can be kinder and non-judgmental of that. Seeing the product, like you say, is just the start of the movement, really. And I'm really excited to see where that goes. But for now, I've just got to kind of get the actual shop kind of really buzzing and alive. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's a good time to do this podcast because this will be going out at some point in November, just ahead of Christmas, and
Right.
you have some fantastic gifts and gift ideas for people looking for either Secret Santa in their office, or if they have got team building days. I think buy everybody a kindness hoodie for your team building day. It's a feel good purchase. The money goes and does some good. If you're going to buy something that you know's had a lot of love put into making it, and can go and do good in the world as well. All that's left to say is like what the perfect topic to have just ahead of Christmas, that leaders, I think need to be kind to themselves first and foremost because they're under a lot of pressure, and then learn how to cultivate that kindness within their teams and their organizations. It's the perfect topic. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast, giving up your time.
Yeah, no, it's a real pleasure. It isn't about being this but not that. You can be a mixture of a lot of things. Can be kind and right. And I think
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
the biggest invitation out there is just how can you be kind and something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
thank you very much. And we'll speak to you soon.
Definitely. Thank you very much.